So yeah, Morgan and I work with the Academic Coaching and Engagement Program, or ACE as we refer to it because we love our acronyms at the University of Central Florida. So I'm going to share a little bit of kind of the history and the background. Since Morgan is currently coordinating the program, she'll dive into more of the details, the coordination of programmatic aspects of a pilot that we conducted last fall and a larger scale program that we conducted in the spring. So for our ACE program, really how it came about was through a male academic success initiative. We started looking at why our male students specifically were having lower graduation rates, and we wanted to determine what was impacting them. So when we start, very interesting, we still don't have a great answer though, but we did find out. It is very interesting, and it's still a trend that we're seeing at our university. But what we did find out is that any student, regardless of gender, male, female, if they came into the institution and within their first semester went on probation, that they were 50% less likely to be retained. So we wanted to take a closer look at that as well, which is how we started this pilot back in the fall semester. What we did is we took our students who came into UCF over the summer, any of them who went on probation, and got filtered into our pilot program in the fall. Now, with this particular program, we work in concert with other academic support areas through an initiative on campus called CARS, the Knights Academic Resource Service, which is also comprised of areas on our campus like the Writing Center, the Math Lab, the library, different study areas that we have on campus. So we have a host of other support systems built into this as well, in addition to our area. We also work with our first year advising and exploration program, as well as our sophomore and second year center in terms of advising for the students. And they have both coaching, advising, and other requirements that they have to fulfill that Morgan will talk a little bit more about. The model that we used when we established this is the same model that's used in our academic services for student athletes area, which has about a 95% graduation rate. So we modeled largely after what they were doing in their program and tried to apply it to the general student population for probation students. So with that, Morgan, I'll turn it over to you if you just want to share a little more about programmatically what you've been doing in the structure.
All right, so what we did was we modeled it off of what they did with the student athletes, and they keep them on a really short leash over an ASSA, and we took that and kind of tried to impose that on this group of probation students to see what would happen. So in the fall, it was a voluntary pilot program, so we had to solicit participation, which was a challenge in and of itself. So we had 54 students total who were on probation who did the voluntary pilot program. And what we found, even though it's a very small sample size, was that 47% of them that did not participate in the program at all ended up being disqualified from the university, while 78% who participated fully got off of probation and therefore were retained. So hopefully will continue to be so much graduation. So they're small numbers, but that was really kind of a big deal. So in the spring semester, we started with 529 students who ended up on probation that were first-time in college students. So Becky had mentioned it's a coordinated effort between SARC, Student Academic Resource Center, which she runs, the first year advising and exploration office, and the sophomore and second year center. So there's kind of 3 different offices working together to get all these 529 students incorporated. So after the advising offices went through and saw who had not enrolled in the spring, we ended up with 454 students. As of last week, I believe I had it was either 42 or 46, I can't remember off the top of my head, of those students that we've had no contact with at all this semester, but we have had our hands on them at some point this semester of the remaining number of those students out of 454. Basically, the structure of the program is we have advising components and then coaching components. And there's 6 mandatory components to the program that they have to meet to get this registration hold lifted. We placed a hold through the advising offices onto all of these students' accounts in January so that they had to see their coach, they had to see their advisor to get them to participate in the program. So there's 8 components total, 6 are mandatory. The other 2, plus some extra stuff on the side, will qualify these students for scholarships. We have 11 scholarships that we managed to get between tuition, book, and parking scholarships for the fall semester to kind of keep them participating. So we had we have the stick with the registration hold and the carrot being the scholarships. targeting a group that's probably not qualifying for any other scholarships at this point. So it's been a real incentive for them, and we've had a lot of the coaches report back and say, that these students really want to keep participating even after the mandatory stuff's been met, because they want that scholarship, because they're probably not going to get any other scholarship. And I think what came down, it's 6 $500 tuition scholarships, 4 $250 book scholarships at the UCF bookstore, and then 1 parking decal, which is hot commodity. And that's worth somewhere around $100 for a full year. So the advising components were an academic standing questionnaire that they were already implementing in their probation intervention program to see why do you think you ended up here, what's going on, did you have personal stuff going on. A group probation session, which happened the first week of school, which was, okay, so now you're on probation, what's next, what are the steps you need to take, and the advising office led that. They had to do an individual 1-hour advising session, which is a really long advising session, and I don't think that that's what they usually do with the rest of the population, but and a second group advising session that they did right before the withdrawal deadline to get them out of classes that they might be failing or use grade forgiveness to kind of help them figure out how to sort their academics out before it was too late. From the coaching perspective, we have 4 coaching sessions. 2 are required. The first one is a get to know you kind of session, figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are, figure out what resources might be good, matched to each student. The second session is a learning skills consultation, which is ordinarily handled through START, but we had all of our coaches trained to do the learning skills consultations and help students figure out how to learn better. One of the main components of the program is goal monitoring, setting goals early and having that coach kind of be the mom on campus to check in, like, are you, have you been studying for this test? Have you started this project yet? They've mapped out their academic plan for the semester, what's due for each class, when are major hotspots in your semester that you're going to have a lot of work done, and getting them organized early and keeping an eye on it. And we kind of have told the coaches, you're kind of their parent on campus, to check in with them. Not do it for them, but check in with them along the way and keep them on track. The third and fourth sessions are a little less scripted. They're more, what does that student need? What does the coach think that the student needs? We've had coaches walk them over to counseling and psychological services, to the recreation center, to different resources on campus to connect them and make sure they know where they're at and what might be a good fit for them. And then the fourth coaching session is kind of a plan for the future. What can I get you connected with so you can do this on your own next time, next semester when you come back. So they have to participate in all 8 of these components that are listed on the back of our worksheet here, as well as there's a couple of extra activities. I feel like I put it on here, but I might have missed that. Get a progress report from all their instructors, go to office hours with their instructors, turn that into their coach, do engage in campus activity, because engagement is a very important part of being a part of the community and getting involved in school and staying there. And then, what is the other one? It's losing it here. CARS, Next Academic Resource Services. They have to prove to their coach that they used one of those services. They connected with something on campus that's an academic resource. So if they meet all of those requirements, then they're eligible to apply for the scholarship. So that's mid-June. So we'll have better numbers to figure out how well this is really working later on in the summer once we see how many people actually get off of probation. But we've received a lot of really good feedback from the coaches, and the students seem appreciative instead of like they're begrudgingly. They want the help from the coaches, and they keep coming back, and they're interested in the scholarship, and they're pointing out to the coaches, oh, I didn't realize that, textbook reading is different than reading a book for pleasure and things like that. So it's been really successful so far that we know. It'll be nice to have data to support that in a few weeks. So that's pretty much our program. Any questions?
You said you placed on hold, so they are required.
And the hold was lifted if they met the 6 requirements, the 4 advising and 2 coaching sessions.
My question piggybacks on the hold.
Okay.
So it prevents them from registering for summer and fall.
Yes.
When do they realize they have the hold?
Well, anytime they log into their student account, it lists like all their holds. A lot of them
They don't have to like click in to see holds?
No, it comes up on their homepage.
Gotcha.
But when they go to sign up for classes and it stops them,
Well,
then
yeah.
they
But by then it's the end of
start
the semester.
panicking.
That's what I was-
missed all the, I know you're getting at Angel, because we've had the same talks at FAU, that a hold is, by the time it matters to them,
Yeah.
because our advanced registration for the next semester is so late, they've already,
Yeah, ours started in March, and March 24th, I think it was.
And
And
it's like 3 months into the term,
yeah,
and like we're gonna have a conversation about setting goals then.
well, that's part of the problem that we've run into now is
Yeah.
like, okay, now I'm getting emails from students to schedule appointments. They're like, I need to finish this ASAP. Where have you been all semester? Like, I've sent them emails every single week saying you need to, there's a hold on your account. They know there's a hold. They were told by their advisor. They know I email them weekly, people who have not had appointments, so they're aware of it, but I don't think it means anything to them until it comes time to register for classes. But that's really the only thing we have to hold over their head.
And would it have been more efficient to place the hold once they went on probation after fall, moving into spring, and prevent that registration?
So I would say a couple of things. One is we're in the process of kind of evaluating that right now, how well it worked this semester and how we may need to tweak it moving forward. One other piece of the ACE program that I probably didn't communicate well at the beginning is this is really, the coaching program is a supplement to a larger probation program that is through the advising office. So this is a supplement or an enhancement to what the advisors are already doing. And Morgan can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that there was some notification to the students regarding the holds out of the advising office, but because that was the primary point for probation, the primary area that handles probation, they sent it rather than it coming from us necessarily. So we kind of work in concert with them.
Interesting.
And how many coaches do you have?
We started with 15, we have 14 currently. We had one leave due to personal issues.
Okay.
She was firing.
And those students?
They're students, yeah, they're peer coaches.
That was going to be my question. How did you come to the decision to choose peer coaches versus professional coaches?
That's what they use in ASSA, I believe.
Right, it was, in the beginning I mentioned it was largely based on a model out of ASSA, Academic Services for Student Athletes, and the peer-to-peer coaching in that particular area has worked very well, so we just chose to follow suit with that model.
So that's your athletics on your home campus?
Correct,
Yes.
correct.
And it seems to be, my hypothesis and nothing to really support this, we did have really good numbers of students seeing coaches. Not as many might have been seeing advisors, and so that we started to think, well, maybe they're just more comfortable with the coaches and they have this relationship with them, they develop it over time by seeing them regularly and checking in, and maybe they don't feel that quite as personal connection with their advisors. So I think that that's part of it, but the peer thing seems to be working out really, really well.
I was going to say for us, I know FAMU has started moving toward the same model because with our incoming freshmen for this past fall, that if they dropped below a 2.0, they were automatically put on probation. And what happened is when our fall grades went out, even though they'd already registered for the spring, they couldn't attend their classes until they met with their advisor when they came back in January for that hold to be taken off and for them to actually report to classes, because it was sent out to them by email over Christmas vacation, but it was also sent out to their professors that they had during the fall, the spring semester. So if they showed up to class and the professor never received an email stating they saw the advisor, they were sent to their advisor before they could even sign the attendance, which is our mandatory policy. You get dropped from classes if you don't attend the first day. So they had to go to the advisor first and then come back to the professor before they could even sign the attendance. But we don't have the coaching component yet. We're adding that portion in, which we're hoping to get started this summer. But yeah, for us, probation happens as soon as the grades go out. It's automatically put on your account, and you can't do anything with your classes. You can't receive a syllabus or anything else if it's not printed on Blackboard until you see your advisor. And that's the only way we can get them to go in and see them, because they're not showing up. Like, you can send them text messages, you can send them emails, things of that nature, they still won't come. So we had to make it seem like it was like a consequential thing for them to show up.
Move on to Natasha.
I actually have a PowerPoint. So I'm reviewing the Eagle Success Program handout. So a little bit of background on the Eagle Success Program is that, let's see, it was around before I actually started in this position in October 2013. We actually have the original creator right here, my supervisor, Stacey Parker. when I came in, the Eagle Success Program, a lot of these components included mostly interactions with our office. And I also came in already with a mission statement and goals already created, which were great to work with, and we didn't change anything about them. We were very happy with them. And on your handout, you actually have a mission statement. Now, we realized that a few things need to be changed, because as we were interacting with students, we realized that the Eagle Success Program wasn't meeting everyone's needs. And let me pause there and just state that when it comes to students with below 2.0 GPA, we do have the whole manipulation at FGCU. Last semester, well, normally the Eagle Success Program has always been an opt-in. Students' minimum requirements to actually get clearance to register for future semesters is built within the Eagle Success Program. It's their choice whether or not they want to do the entire program. Last fall, we actually required it of every single student on academic standing to just we piloted it as an opportunity to get some data on how it influenced students, and I will be reviewing some of the GPA data at the end. So this semester, we actually have our first time in college students who've been placed on, who have GPAs below 2.0, our summer and fall admit. They are now required to take our SLS 1501 effective learning course. Now, those students are only required to complete the minimum of the Eagle Success Program. However, if they weren't placed in the effective learning class by chance, or if they withdraw from the effective learning, they do have to complete the entire Eagle Success Program in order to get clearance to register for a future term. Additionally, there are a few populations that are required to do the entire Eagle Success Program, which includes our academic amnesty students, our academic reinstated students. This first semester we have a fraternity group and all of their identified probationary students, so that's based on their fraternity GPA, which is higher than 2.0, are also required to do the entire Eagle Success Program. And within it we do have a few conduct students, but we do have students in good standing who actually opt in to do the Eagle Success Program. So when we realized that the Eagle Success Program, there was a need to make a few changes on it, we have an academic advisor council at FGCU, and we asked them if it was appropriate to put together an academic standing subcommittee with an advisor representative from each college. And I headed that committee, and together with the Bloom's taxonomy pyramid, we created some new learning outcomes, which address getting students connected with university resources. We knew that was definitely a goal because so many students came to us with so many different issues in their academic coaching sessions, and we knew they couldn't all be resolved through our office. And we would tell them about the resources, but we weren't always positive they really followed through. We wanted them to develop meaningful relationships with their faculty and staff. So many of the students that were coming in were fearful of actually going and meeting with the instructor, and that meeting with the instructor would have solved so many different issues. Then reflecting on personal strengths and challenges so that they would actually be able to reflect themselves and find out really what is it that they need to do, and creating a plan, creating an action plan, which is what the Eagle Success Program is. And also adaptable techniques. So what if this happens again? What if something different along the line? So in those coaching sessions, we talk about, okay, now what can you do later on if something like this comes up? And then also analyzing effective strategies for university resources. So you're using those resources, but what are some other ways? You know about career development services, but what else can you do with them? So this is where we started, and pulling this out. At FGC, we had it all in here. So here it is, our Eagle Success Program. We have students start off with the Canvas module, which is our learning program. Within the Canvas module, there is an intake form that they fill out. We ask them how do they feel about their certain skills, what are resources that they're interested in. For students who are in good standing, they have a completely different module they complete. And for the students who have below 2.0s, they have a different module they complete, which does include the academic standing policy. So with that intake, additional questions we ask is, for the students with below 2.0, is why do you feel that you're in this predicament? And we use that data a great deal. And I have some data from last semester's Canvas module on the reasons they thought they were outstanding. It's very interesting. From the serious, the death in the family, to even just, I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what resources to take advantage of. And we refer to that before they come into their academic coaching meeting. We'll sit down with them, and in the Canvas module, they set a semester goal. We revisit that goal, and we talk to them about making it more specific. And you'll see I've actually given you the Eagle Success Program handout that we review with them. First step's the Canvas module, then the coaching session. Right there, that's where we reevaluate their semester goal. We help them rewrite it. So if it's a specific letter grade, if it's an action they want to take, maybe going to appeal for medical withdrawal, we reset it there. And we talk about strengths and obstacles. Then we identify 4 important things that they want to follow through with. As always, we tell them about the academic advisor meeting. We all here know why they need to meet with an academic advisor. Then we refer them to our student success workshops that we offer through the Center for Academic Achievement. Our workshops review topics like test-taking strategies, organization. We now have the Writing Center's workshops on our schedule. The library does a great deal of workshops as well. Next fall, we'll have career development services. My hopes is that one day we'll get financial aid to do some workshops for us as well. But with each semester, we're adding so much more variety. So when students come in and they tell us what's going on, no matter what it is, we'll be able to refer them to the workshop that they'll benefit from, that's unique to them. The 2 initiatives are how I would like to refer to students, their actions. What actions now are you going to take that will benefit you in pursuing this goal? So if a student tells me that they do want to do a medical withdrawal, I'll give them our caseworker's contact information. One of your initiatives, how about you go meet with that caseworker? How about that next initiative be something in relation to your courses? So we create this with them, and oftentimes I'll ask them first, what actions do you think you need to take? So this is the layout that we actually give them during the info session. Then we refer to it as 6 activities within 16 weeks. So it's high impact activities every 2 weeks. So if you do the math, it's between 5 and 6 hours within the 16 weeks. So it's not taking up a great deal of their time. So we definitely stop those students in their tracks and they go, I don't have enough time. Well, here mathematically you actually do. And they should be things that they're already doing, like the academic advisor meeting, right? And the actions they're taking. You should already be doing these things. Our collaboration, it's across campus. I mentioned career development services. We send so many students there for career counseling, just finding out what to do with their career, because sometimes the passion isn't showing in those courses because they have no idea what they're doing in those courses. We collaborate with college advisors, so those students who are on academic standing, the minimum requirements are the Canvas module, the meeting with us, and the meeting with their advisor. Once they've completed those 3 things, they bring it to us, and that's when their goal gets adjusted. The Writing Center with the workshops, first year advising as well. The library services, we do workshops with them. Student involvement, they actually provide us with a great deal of incentives. One of our students, you'll see in the picture on that front page, one of our students got an Eagle Palooza ticket last semester because she completed it and went to a draw. But it would be great one day if we had scholarships. And the Dean of Students Office, our conduct, some students are required to do it for conduct reasons. And then Greek Life, I mentioned that one of our fraternities is required of their probationary students. And we've already been approached by quite a few other sororities and fraternities who are also interested. So you have the handout, which this is what we provide students with to track themselves. When students meet the minimum requirements, they bring it in, we make a copy, we adjust their hold, and it's up to them to finish the rest. The students who know that they need to complete the entire program for clearance, they know who they are. We know who they are identified. And then the process for mandating, like I mentioned, we put that hold on their account. required to complete the entire program, which I already went over. In terms of notification, we put, it's mentioned continuously in the Canvas module. Now, once you complete this module, the next step is go meet with your advisor. We also email bombard them every other week. Now, they start getting those emails as soon as they're placed on probation at the end of that semester. And there's also a notification letter that goes home. And within it, we have an advertisement for the Eagle Success Program info sessions. Each semester we do that the first 3 weeks. Actually, the first 4 weeks. We don't do it during the first week of classes because everything's so hectic. And do I still have time to still get some of the data? Okay. So you'll notice that I didn't mention the tracks yet, and we use these as themes. A lot of students pick their initiatives based on academic engagement theme, campus engagement, or major and career development. And we talk that out with them based on their semester goal. We formally had the individualized track, which simply did not include the workshop. It only included the minimum requirements plus 2 activities. So it does show that academic engagement was very popular. And then the next popular was major and career development because so many students, they do realize, I don't want to be an engineering major, what am I doing?
Is that in terms of the selections that they were making for their initiatives?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. So some students couldn't really think of things. So then our next step was to talk to them about the tracks, the types of themes that they could choose from. And then this is the commonly used activities from last semester. So you'll see the writing center was very popular, as well as weekly tutoring. Students had the option to opt in to meet with us multiple times, and also to meet with us to focus on time management activities that we did. Also, we have that one minimum requirement for workshops, but students could choose to go to multiple workshops if they identified some that they knew they would benefit from. One component that we had in the Eagle Success Program last semester that now students can use as an initiative, because we've removed it, is an instructor's meeting. We found that some students were already meeting with their instructors. They already took that initiative, so we took it out as an option and instead made it an optional initiative that they could opt into instead of being required. Every single one would be required to do it. And then here's the GPA difference. Cut off. But the top box are the students that had below 2.0 GPAs that participated fully in the Eagle Success Program. You'll see their beginning GPA for fall and their end GPA at the end of fall, as well as the differences. So you'll see first year and upper levels are separated, as well as the students who were on academic standing that did not participate. There were around 194 students that did the Eagle Success Program that had below 2.0 GPAs. There were about 230 students who did not participate in the Eagle Success Program who were on academic standing last semester. So, and the combined is 1.50, 1.60, and the difference is 0.2. So the numbers speak for themselves.
It's interesting that the non-participants had a lower GPA.
Sorry?
It's interesting that the non-participants had a lower GPA.
Yeah. Yes.
I have a policy-based question. Maybe you said this and I missed it. So let's say they get to 1.97 as their average at the end of the semester. Are they allowed to come back even though they're still technically on probation?
Yes, at FGCU we have an academic warning term, and then if they don't get above a 2.0 cumulatively, they go into academic probation, and that's when they need to make a term GPA.
As long as their semester GPA is above a 2.0, they can even continue after that, right? They continue on probation, as long as they're
Correct.
each semester their term GPA is high.
Yeah, and just for us, I know at FAMU, they can continue, it's just it affects their financial aid. They
Yeah,
can't go back to
everywhere.
receiving it until they get back to where they need to be.
Right, so once the term and the overall both go below the 2, that's
Correct.
when that next action
Is that a
state
state
happens.
policy or is that each individual?
Oh, no,
I think it's
It's a-
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then just lastly, one other thing that's unique about our program is that all these initiatives, if capable, we ask them to show proof through our Instagram and Twitter account. So here's one of our ticket winners. But also we had a student who was required to put together a study group for her anatomy. So she took a picture and posted that on our Instagram account. And then also just going to workshops and tutoring sessions.
Yes.
Question? No, and I think we'll hopefully have more questions at the end too. If you think of any, because you might have some broader questions for all of us too. So I will try to go quickly through mine. I have a handout here. It's on the cardstock. I'm going to be telling you today about SLS 1122, which is our academic success course, Strategies for Academic Success. And how this happened, the story is a little bit unusual in that this was a top-down initiative. Florida State University had been working for over a decade, really with the goal that our provost was pushing of getting our first-year retention rate beyond 90%. We'd gotten up to 88, 89, and it was kind of stuck there. And, you know, our provost, believe me, Dr. Abel wanted this 98. And what Dr. Abel wants, Dr. Abel gets. So, Dr. Abel had, what the university had been doing was really going through this very systematic process of looking at the data and what groups of students are not returning to FSU and how can we create these initiatives that will get to, and we actually found, interestingly enough, that some of our highest performing students were not coming back. We created an undergraduate research program and a lot of initiatives for some of our high-performing students. Office of National Fellowships, those were all, sort of born out of that data. But sort of the last piece of low-hanging fruit that Dr. Abel was sure was going to push us past this 90% mark was our students below 2.0, the freshmen who are coming in who are on probation and warning. Because what we knew about them is that if they were below 2.0 in their first term, only 20 to 40% of them were coming back for their second year. So a very small percentage of them. So he had decided we need to create an academic success course. He actually had initiated some conversations with our College of Education, and they weren't really ready to take it on, so he gave the task, created a new position, assistant dean position in the Division of Undergraduate Studies. I was hired for that position. I was hired in June 2007 in a true Larry Abel form. He wanted the course to be taught in fall. In hindsight, I probably would have been more vocal in my interview saying, you got to have better planning time. But we did make that happen. In many ways, it sort of felt like building the bicycle while we were riding it. I would not encourage anyone to do it that way, but that is indeed how it played out. This course was first taught, because we didn't even have a course number or anything for this on our campus. It was first taught as a special topics course out of the College of Education. And the first thing that I had to do, and it was summer, so it was really hard to do this, but I met with the Faculty Senate Steering Committee and essentially got approval from them to mandate for all freshmen below 2.0 in their first term, mandate this course. So that was all freshmen. Now the vast majority of our freshmen come into the Division of Undergraduate Studies. They're our students, until they're admitted into their major. So we're their dean's office for, about 2 years. But we have a few special programs like film, dance, theater, and music, where they are admitted right into those college from their audition or their portfolio. And so we did work it out that those students too would also be mandated. I just worked real closely with the deans, the associate deans in those offices to make sure that communication is really clear. But the first hurdles really were the curriculum committees, and actually I was probably the closest this idea ever got to being shot down was through the College of Education, because somebody had tried this before, and so they were a little dubious. But I had the chair in educational psychology and learning systems was fabulous, helped us get it through the College of Education Curriculum Committee, and then the University Curriculum Committee had no problem with this at all. And actually, it was funny because I get a lot of, heads up that faculty might not like this, but honestly, the Faculty Senate loved it. They ate it up. They're like, this is wonderful. So it got through there in a way that was much smoother than I ever had anticipated.
But we did get the final course number approved through the state. I did the research to figure out who all had this courses and strategically selected SLS 1122. And then we, all along all this time, I was hiring faculty, 3 new faculty lines that were given to me that I had to hire that summer, and also creating the initial syllabus, which we did, in connection with a textbook that we eventually ditched. We ditched the textbook. Because I would say we initially took a very academic approach to this, and it was not flying with our students, it was not helpful. We have become very workshop approached and very personalized, very positive psychology. Our students love it now. But that first semester, I tell you, it was really, even that whole first year, it was a little rough because this was a brand new thing. We were introducing something into the culture, the academic culture that had never existed. What? Students who don't do well their first semester have to do what? So, and over time, that's just become, students just know it, parents know it, everyone knows it. It's going to happen if a student doesn't do well their first semester. I did not bring copies of the syllabus, but they are available. I put the website there. We always put a sample syllabus out there for students to see, and so feel free to go and take a look at it. This is a course that is. It's 1 credit, and it's elective credit. So for any student, it's going to count towards their electives. But any undergraduate student can take it as an elective. We don't have a lot of seats available, but we have enough generally for those students who sometimes come into college and in their first semester would like to take a success course. And so we do have a fair number of electives. Or even students, it takes a 2.9 to get into our College of Business. Students are worried about that, and so if they know they had a bad first semester, they have a 2.2. How am I going to get to that 2.9? They will enroll themselves in our course, which we think is a really good thing. We opted to make this a graded course, and here's why. Because we want them to immediately know that this is important, because we know how holds are and putting them on, and they will wait till the middle or the end of the semester if it's just a hold, to respond to that. So because this is a graded class, they respond immediately. They have to show up in the first week of class, or we are contacting them. We do not drop them. It's policy at the university to drop for non-attendance on the first day. We don't do that for SLS. We pick up the phone and we call them and we say, why weren't you at your mandated SLS class? Let's make sure, and most of the time they are there, so it's really not a lot of follow-up for us. But that we tell them, your performance in this class is going to impact your GPA. And it's true. It can be a 1 credit A, it can be a 1 credit F, or anything in between. So your effort in this class is going to count. And what that also does is that in our collaboration with the assistant dean in our office is the one making decisions about reinstatement, dismissals, etc., considering all of those appeals, perhaps doing some kind of retroactive drop if that's relevant based on personal crisis or something going on in their lives. We can look at grades in this class and see how much effort have they put into turning things around. And so it's really helpful to the dean's office to have that information available. We teach this course once a week for 75 minutes, and then we teach it in 12 weeks. We first taught it in 10 weeks, and what we didn't like is we thought we have a 12-week drop. We have a 12-week drop deadline. We have a 7-week drop deadline, and then a 12-week is the late drop deadline. And all freshman, sophomore students, lower division, have up to 2 late drops. So we needed to have them 2 weeks longer to help them make good decisions about those late drops. So we essentially extended the class for 12 weeks, and we love it because they need a lot of advising and support leading up to that drop deadline and communicating with the dean's office. So we like the 12 weeks. And then they have the last month of the semester to really focus on their other classes and really practice all the things that they've learned in the SLS class. Our process of mandating, we have down to a science now. Essentially grade day, the day after grades post, we come into the office, we run a query, we get the list of all those students who are below 2.0, and we begin the process of running their schedule, and we actually hand enroll them in the class. We pick a section that's going to work in terms of their schedule. After the summer semester, we're talking 80 to 100 students. At the end of the spring semester, it's usually 300 to 400 students. It's usually closer to 275 to 300 now. When we first started doing this, the number was 445. That was a lot the first time we did this. But things have changed a little bit over time. So we run their schedules, we administratively enroll them, we produce a letter that goes, we email it to them, but we also send it to their permanent address. So it's not really a very fun stocking stuffer, but yeah, it usually gets there right before, right after the holidays, and so some of their parents know. But interestingly enough, we don't get that many parent phone calls. We get some. Most of them go to the dean's office, the one who's making the decisions, not to me. But occasionally we do, and we just work through those. It's going to happen, and so we have those conversations. But I will tell you, I still think there's an awful lot of hiding that goes on. I think students are just trying to keep, their parents away from their deans if they can. But
They've been practicing for 4 years.
So anyway, we do send that notification home, and we also have had the course programmed. One of the big factors that had to happen is you can't allow a student to drop a course that's mandated, and so we actually had it programmed in the system to make it match the protocol we have set up for ENC 1101 and their first math course. They can't drop it unless they contact my office or their dean's office, and they're approved to have it dropped. So that keeps them in the course, which is really kind of a key part of this. Otherwise, they would just, unenroll themselves. Really, the key factors for success, we've been doing this for 8 years now, and we've had a lot of time to make improvements. We've made tremendous improvements over time. But I think, one of the keys is the faculty collaboration and planning. We do have a syllabus template. I have 3 full-time faculty. I teach the course about once a year in the spring when we have the most sections. We usually have about 15 or 16 sections in the spring, about 7 in the fall, 3 over the summer. And then we have some adjuncts. We've ended up hiring adjuncts from mostly advisors in undergraduate studies. It's kind of a nice add-on supplement to their income for a little bit of extra responsibility, and they really enjoy it. It gives them teaching experience. We try to look for students for adjuncts who already have some teaching experience, because you would not want to put them in a classroom with mandated students unless they feel very comfortable in a classroom and are very assertive, because students can smell when you're insecure and would eat them alive if they weren't experienced at this. But we also, so we have that syllabus. They can make some changes to it, but a lot of the curriculum is set up. But we have debriefing meetings at the end of every semester for all of the permanent faculty, all of the adjuncts, so that they can make improvements, and we head in a common direction. So we have our curriculum committee. We've had a lot of experience and stability in our faculty. I think that has helped. But I think really the 2 important keys to this class are we have very practical homework assignments, like an assignment calendar consolidated for all of their classes, study plans, things that are very practical for them, things that they can use to be successful in their classes. And then we have 2 individual meetings with every student, one at the beginning of the semester and one at the end. And this really gives us a chance to get into the issues, those personal issues, those affective issues that really are impacting their success. Their class attendance pattern, their study behaviors, their major, their motivation issues, barriers, like perhaps struggling with personal issues, referrals to the counseling center, learning, student disability resource center. Some of them just even struggling with homesickness or, family issues or challenges. And so, there's a lot going on other than students just don't know how to study or students are partying too much. It's a lot more complicated than that. And these meetings allow them to really talk with us. And there's an incredible turning point in this class that happens once that faculty member gets to, develop that personal rapport. And that's where really, I think, the evaluation comes out. And we're running out of time here, so just real quickly, I'll say students evaluate this course very highly. It's always over 90% of the students who rate their instructor as excellent or very good, which is astounding for a course that they're mandated to take. And we've really seen over time the percentage of students who are returning to good academic standing by the end of the spring semester has gone up over time, and so has the retention of these students over time. The first-year retention rate of those who've actually completed the course has gone up to 73%. So that's a far cry from the 20 to 40%, trend that we were seeing prior to the course. So we've had a lot of success with it. We did break our 90%. We did break into it. We did move the needle, and I think we're, I'm never allowed to share the latest numbers until they're validated. I think we're at 93% now, and which is great. We never stop in
I think the session's over.
This course, and I want to say that the disclaimer is, with this last piece of information, it was not SLS that took us over 93. It is the compilation of all of these programs together. So it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Two really quick
Yes.
questions. One credit?
It is a one-credit course.
And about how many students in a course section?
We try to limit it to 20 to 22. We, in the past, have taught it up to 28, and it starts to get a little crazy. And I'll tell you, we like to sit in a circle, and you can't get 28 kids in a circle. So, usually about 22.
Once the student is finished, do you have academic advisors involved helping them pick their next class?
I am so glad that you said that, because one of the things that I didn't really talk about was this collaboration. We have advisors there on the first day of class. We have advisors reviewing their schedule, because you would not believe the classes that students on probation pick. They'll end up in 3, what we used to call Gordon Rule writing courses, or they'll end up, I saw a freshman one time on probation who was in all 3,000 and 4,000 level courses. I'm like, what are you trying to do to yourself? So, yes.
Challenge himself.
Yeah. They do. They pick them for many other reasons. So, and then we have the advisors there near drop deadline. So we refer them to the advisors on their action plan. We do an action plan in every individual meeting. That's part of the action. Maybe one more?
Thanks. So it's a one-credit SLS class that they take after their first semester.
Yes.
Do these students take a freshman seminar their first semester?
We no longer have, we used to have an FYE course, and we no longer have FYE. We do have a number of other freshman engagement programs like Living Learning Communities. We have honors program. We have a care program that has sort of like an academic component. And
Are they course bearing?
Those are all credit bearing.
Okay.
Yes. So we do have other, sort of freshman involvement programs, but not FYE.
Thank you.